The 2024 VGC World Championships are now behind us, and with that, we are now going full steam ahead with Regulation H content here. And I thought there's no better way to start it off than having a look at some tournaments that happened over the weekend. Now, we did have 4 decently sized tournaments with at least 50 players or more that I did want to talk about today. But before we jump into that, guys, I just want to say a massive thank you for all the support I received in the last week. You know, I was looking at it. I literally put up a post on the community post the other day where I was like, hey, I'm 100 subs off, 5K. We're finally gonna hit the 5K sub goal. And now we're literally like 200 away from 6K, which is absolutely insane. Like 900 subs in like 8 days is freaking awesome. And now we're like this close to hitting 6K. So I just want to say a massive thank you. And obviously everyone who came out and supported me at the through my streams for the World Championships as well. Really means a lot. Yeah, anyway, as I said, Regulation G, we're done. It's in the past now. Well, for now at least, we'll be back there in 4 months, sadly. But for now, we're full steam ahead with Regulation G, H, and again, we got some pretty cool tournaments to look at here. To kick us off as well, we are looking at the FlorTour here. And this, again, has some pretty cool teams. One of which is a team I've seen by Goto. They are a Japanese player playing Rain. Japanese Rain is something that I've seen a lot in these Limitless Tours. And this team by Goto is one I've seen pop up quite a few times now, and it is really, really cool. So when you take a look at the team here, you have a few, instant, combos I see right off the bat, right? Of course, we have Archaladon here. Archaladon pairs incredibly well with Rain, and of course, we have Politoed here, right? It's a Drizzlemon. It has the eject button as well. And again, it's just pretty good. Obviously, we commonly see this Pokemon paired with Pelipper. But when you have a Pokemon like Whimsicott that can substitute as your Tailwind setter, obviously having a mon like Politoed is pretty good. And Politoed is also really good in endgames as well, where you can just click Perish Song and basically trap mons in the endgame. Which also pairs up really well with Golden Go as well, because you can't actually Perish Song your own Golden Go, thanks to its ability, good as gold, which is pretty nice. Of course, Whimsicott plus a Choice Specs, Golden Go is really, really good right now. Obviously, Tailwind plus, Terra Steel, Choice Specs, make it rain. It's pretty damn broken. Whimsicott also one of the better partners as well for Blood Moon Ursaluna. It's a Pokemon I'm a huge fan of as well. And then Pawmot finally is also really, really interesting. It gives you a pretty solid matchup into opposing Rain as well, because you can't be electroshotted from the Archaladons, and thanks to your focus dash, you have to take at least 2 attacks off it, meaning they do have to go for things like Draco Meteor, which is obviously pretty good there. And of course, with Fake Out, Revival Blessing, it is pretty damn good. Not to mention, fighting types are, pretty average right now, and they're also pretty important on teams. We see Pokemon like King Gambit, Archaladon, all that being pretty good. So having a good fighting type is obviously solid. And of course, Double Shock as well is also pretty damn nice. But yeah, this is a really cool team here. They do have the Misty Terrain as well on the Whimsicott, really good into side spam. And nonetheless, yeah, it's awesome. We see this team pop up again later. I think it's really cool. It's a really cool take on Rain, and it's good to see people adapting and moving away from Politoed and, Pelipper and finding some success. So I'm personally a huge fan of that. We have some other cool teams here as well. We're seeing more Dondozo here. I will quickly touch on, a lot of people drop in my comments, when I was doing the tier list, like, oh, Dozo is still like a really good mon, and everyone's like, nah, Dozo's not that good. Everything has haze, blah, blah, blah. People forget you actually have to run Dozo counters. And if you don't run Dozo counters, you get situations like this where there are 3 Dondozos in the top 8. We have one here literally in the finals, which is, yeah, really, really cool. And again, this is just a cool take on Dondozo, in my opinion, right? Obviously, you have the Dozogiri. Everyone kind of knows what that does. Talonflame right now is the most common Tailwind setter paired with the Dondozo. A lot of the time, you're kind of just saying like, hey, I'm just going to lead something like Talonflame and a partner and just absolutely nuke. And on this team, again, it's really cool, right? You have Talonflame, you have the Choice Specs Golden Go, very similar to what we were talking about before with the Whimsicott. You pair that up as well with the Hisuian Decidueye, and you have 2 Pokemon that can put on a lot of pressure turn 1 paired up with the Talonflame. And then, of course, you also have a really interesting one here, which is the Berserker. Now, for anyone, I guess, who doesn't understand how Berserker works or why it's good in particular with Golden Go, its ability Steely Spirit just buffs the power of all Steel-type moves for both you and your ally. And again, I'm sure as you could imagine, next with Terra Steel, Choice Specs, Make It Rain, that deals a lot of goddamn damage. It's also really good as well when, you have Fake Out support from the Berserker. So yeah, this team is just really good at basically saying, hey, we're going to just deal as much damage as we can early, and then eventually Dondozo will come through and sweep the game. So yeah, really, really cool team there. Haze on the Decidueye as well is also really nice for the opposing Dozos as well. It helps out in that matchup a lot. Again, we see another Dozo. I've covered this team a lot. This is kind of one of the standard variants of it that's running around right now. Again, you've got the, you got the Choice Specs Golden Go, you got the Talonflame, right? You have the Pawmot, which is really good as well, because again, you lose your Dozo, your Revival Blessing it, you have your Dozo again, right? And then Banded D-Knight as well is really solid into a lot of these, Fake Out Intimidators. Of course, really good into things like Incineroar, especially in the current metagame where the power level's a lot lower, so the Incineroar's partners cannot deal with the D-Knight as easily. Again, we have some more cool stuff here. This is a pretty cool setup balance team as well, I like. You have good pressure here between, again, Whimsicott and Golden Go. You'll see that a lot. Obviously, a really good combo. D-Knight, again, is a mon that is definitely rising up. The Banded D-Knight stuff with Inner Focus is still really nice. Especially true when things like Banded, Terra Normal, E-Speed is able to KO some Whimsicotts and Talonflames. And then, of course, you got the Rillaboom, you got the Volcarona, you have the Primarina. Just a really good trio there for a Fire Water Grass core. Of course, Rillaboom can assist the Volcarona in setting up. Leftovers plus Grassy Terrain obviously gives it a lot of healing. Quiver Dance is pretty broken. And Giga Drain just is really good in the current metagame. Allows you to heal up. And Primarina, of course, is just really good, right? It has Haze for the Dozo matchups. It also just really strong with Life Orb, paired up with Whimsicott. This one does pump out quite a bit of damage. So, again, a really cool take on it there. We have another Rain team here. Pretty similar to stuff we've covered in the past. I do think Gambit and Salamence is really good on Rain. I think this is actually very similar to a team I crafted at the very start of the format as well. I didn't have the Amoonguss. I think I had a Ludicolo in that slot. But again, of course, Pelipper paired up with Basket Legion and Archaludon is incredibly good in Rain. Also having Hurricane Salamence in Rain as well is really sick. And of course, the Rain, again, it supports the Amoonguss, it supports the King Gambit, removing their fire weakness, which is, of course, really, really good, right? We have some other cool teams here as well. We basically covered this team before, except they just have the Rillaboom in the spot of the Pawmot. And then the final team we'll look at here, at least for this tournament here, is a really cool take on Snow. I do think Alolan Ninetales right now is a really good standalone Pokemon, and I do expect to see it rise up just a little bit, right? And especially on a set like this, as you guys can see here, it does have Howl, which again is very, very interesting. Because again, we have seen Howl picking up. Now that Hisuian Arcanine's getting good again, we are seeing people click it again. And again, it's pretty good, right? You have the Decidueye, you have the Quaquaval, you have the Arcanine, all of which really like getting howled. Of course, you also have Icy Wind. You are one of the faster Pokemon in the metagame, so when you have things like Quack, Hisuian Arcanine and Decidueye, who are all like middle speed tier, like obviously Decidueye is pretty slow. Arcanine and Quaquaval are like decently fast, but like nothing crazy. So again, you have Howl to buff them up. You have Icy Wind to allow them to go faster. Obviously, if your opponent leads something passive, you always have the option as well of going for something like Aurora Veil. You also have Indeedee, to stop priority. You also have Indeedee for redirection, which is solid. And of course, Blood Moon Ursaluna is just Blood Moon Ursaluna, right? You pair this up with Indeedee, you get the Trick Room up, it'll sweep through. And of course, even if you have a little bit of speed investment, you can always pair it with the Alolan Ninetales. You go for like the Icy Wind and Protect into another Icy Wind, Blood Moon, whatever it might be, right? And you can deal a lot of damage. But yeah, a really cool take on it, Hail there. I think Alolan Ninetales is pretty good right now. A little bit underrated. And I do expect to see it rise up just a little bit. So the Sitrus Series here was taken by a relatively meta team here. This is, of course, Mouse 8 plus Rain. This is a pretty consistent team. We've seen this pop up quite a lot because, of course, the Mouse also pairs incredibly well with Archaludon. Given the, the AV Archaludon Frank Guard makes this one incredibly tanky. And then, of course, you can beat up into Stamina, giving it a really, really powerful body press on turn 1. So really, really good, really, really standard. Very powerful combo. Of course, Pelipper is there, enables the Archaludon. Of course, it's just a solid support as well. It can deal quite a bit of damage in the current metagame. Then we have Murkrow plus Hydreigon. I'm assuming this is just to really help out with, some size spam map shops. Of course, you also have Haze to help into Dondozo. You have Rain Dance as a secondary Rain Dancer as well, because it does give you some leads where you can say go for something like Murkrow plus Archaludon, and you don't have to worry about leading Pelipper, especially, say you're going up against like a Torkoal team, right, and you really want the ability to manually set the weather. That way, they can't override you on that turn. And of course, Hydreigon, again, the Razor Claw plus Focus Energy set here, really good into things like Dondozo. Having the guaranteed crit after getting it off is obviously really, really nice. And again, when you have a Pokemon like Maushold that's able to, lead with 3 different Pokemon, it definitely makes leading into it very hard, right? Because you can look at it and say, hey, shit, okay, are they leading like Pelipper Archaludon? Are they leading, Murkrow Archaludon? Are they leading Murkrow and Hydreigon? Maybe they're going to lead Maushold plus Ape, Archaludon, Hydreigon. It makes it a nightmare to go into, right? Because basically, you get the lead wrong against this team, and then all of a sudden they take a quick KO. You still haven't dealt with the mouse, and yeah, it can be pretty damn difficult. So, really cool team by Ash there. I'm not surprised they ended up going 11-0 with it. We also see here a pretty cool Sand team here. I do think Sand right now is pretty underrated. I also think Cleft is not seeing as much play as I kind of expected it to. But yeah, I really like this team here as well. Like, obviously, you see Low Kick T-Tar, which I think is really good for the mirror. Also, really good into things like King Gambit. Of course, Rillaboom plus Golden Go is just one of the best setup combos in the game. And of course, Rillaboom and Primarina. This is a pretty standard core. You're going to see this a lot. These two, they combo each really, really well. They're both fantastic into Dondozo as well, because if you can get the Primarina in, normally you can just click Protect, cycle in your Rillaboom. Then at that stage, you have Fake Out plus Haze to just guarantee that you get rid of the boost on it, right? And of course, Hydreigon here is probably the premier Tailwind setter that isn't a priority Tailwind setter right now. We are seeing it rise up quite a bit. And yeah, people are just saying like, hey, I don't need a Talonflame, I don't need a Whimsicott. I've just got my Hydreigon. And of course, this is just budget Chi-Yu. And in a metagame without Chi-Yu, I'm a huge fan of it, right? Of course, you've got the Life Orb, Terrify, Heat Wave. Deals quite a bit of damage, but yeah, a really, really cool team nonetheless. What else we have here? We have a relatively standard Fire, Water, Grass stuff, but they've just slapped on Pelipper as well. Of course, yeah, pretty solid. Again, things like Rillaboom plus Golden Go is fantastic. Pelipper protects the Golden Go, it's really good. Gambit is also really nice into opposing Incineroars. I will say as well, something you probably noticed, the lack of Incins here again. pretty similar to the current format. We only see 3 Incineroars here in the top 8, which is kind of crazy, right? That mon's usage is definitely dropping a bit. We have also a pretty interesting take here on it. Is this a Trick Room team? I'm guessing it's Trick Room, right? Yeah, double Trick Room setter here. Of course, you got the Ursaluna, Primarina, Incin, all pretty good under Trick Room. And of course, Komoa here gives you a bit of a faster mode where you can lead with things like Goth and just say, I'm going to set up with my Komoa, get that Omni boost up. You go for the fake out. And then really with things like Sinister, you're able just to heal up the Komoa, which again is really good. Sinister and Incin pair incredibly well with the Komoa, because you can basically just say like, hey, protect, heal up, Rage Powder attack, or you can just go, Rage Powder attack, pivot out into Incineroar as you protect, and you go fake out attack. It's a really, really good combo. And yeah, this team looks really scary actually on paper. You've got the Primarina and Ursaluna really good under Trick Room. And of course you have a faster mode with Komoa where it says, like, you're just like, hey, I'm going to set up, and then I'm basically just going to pivot around and just make this game absolutely hell for you. So that is a really, really cool team. Another team. Oh, actually, no, this is just Goto's same team, is it? I'm pretty sure this is probably just the same team. Yeah, it looks the exact same to me. Yeah, really cool team. We did cover that just before. My guy Dragapult here, Polteezy. Seen some play. Now, I have seen people going for the spec set. I'm yet to test the choice spec set myself, but I can definitely see why it's good, right? You're the fastest Pokemon in the game. Obviously, with choice specs, it gives you a lot more damage. So yeah, really, really cool there. Of course, Excadrill, T-Tar, we are seeing T-Tar get a little bit more play, which is really nice. And then Palathin, Rillaboom, Incin, just a really good Firewater Grass core. I'm really curious to see that. Oh, of course, the Assault Vest is on T-Tar here. So yeah, this is fine, just like double Grass, Fake Out, Protect. Honestly, not bad. Yeah, really, really cool team there as well. Anything crazy? I think we covered this exact team earlier. And then this team here as well is the it's a take on what's it called, Sun. I've seen people playing a little bit, because this team actually is relatively cool under Trick Room for a couple of reasons, right? One, obviously you have a fast mode, right, where you've got, say, hey, I've got the Charizard, I've got the Torkoal, I can go really hard, you can lead Charizard, Torkoal. If they lead, and it's something like Fake Out, you just pivot into the Giraffe, and then you start firing off, Choice Specs, Terrifier, Heat Waves in the Sun, right? Really cool. And then you also have this Trick Room mode where you're like, hey, right, I've got the Giraffe, I've got the Rillaboom, I can go for like just U-turn into Trick Room, get the Torkoal in safely. Gastro and Rampardos also really cool under Trick Room as well. Rampardos is actually really interesting because this mon has one of the highest attack stats in the game. And of course, it's really squishy, so they do have the Focus Sash here. But yeah, this is just a situation where you say, hey, I'm just clicking Terra Rock, I'm clicking Rock Slide, I'm dealing a lot of goddamn damage with Sheer Force. So yeah, really, really cool take on Sun here. And just shout out here for Wolfnick. He did mention this in the in my Discord, which, by the way, if you guys don't know the Discord, join the Discord. Yeah, we're always talking about VGC in there. But he mentioned to me, he's like, hey, I actually top cut a tournament using Carbink. Obviously 5 and 2 into 5 and 3. But yeah, this is just a really cool take on sand, right? You've got the T-Tar here setting up the sand for your rock type in Carbink. And then Carbink just says, hey, I click Iron Defense, right? Now I got +2 defense. My defensive stats are kind of insane as it is. Obviously you got Rillaboom plus leftovers for a lot of healing. And then yeah, you got the sand giving you the special defense buff, and Carbink can actually deal quite a lot of damage with body press because this one has a ridiculously high defensive stat. But yeah, still a really cool team, right? You got things like where you can go like Rillaboom, Excadrill, Fake out it to Swords Dance, and then you can pivot into the Tyranitar to get off, the Sand Rush there, start dealing, get a lot faster, do a lot of damage. Of course, you got a Moongus and Giraffe there as well for just really good support as well. So yeah, a really cool team there, and shout out to Wolfnick. Also, I realized I skipped the metagame tab for the last 2 tournaments, so I do quickly just want to backtrack here. We do see Rillaboom here being the #1 used mod in the Sitrus series, and it's honestly not even close. But Incin, Golden Go, Rillaboom are the big 3. As you can see, Incin coming in at 3rd is basically double the usage of essentially everything else. Of course, Rain is still really popular. Volcarona's usage is definitely picking up. Obviously, Mouse Ape still exists. Whimsicott appears to be the premier Tailwind setter right now. Of course, Hydreigon's still up there. Talonflame is really good as well. Big Clef is a mon on the rise, and I expect to continue to see it rise up as well. How are we looking on win rates here? Glamora, definitely one of the most underused mons in the format right now. I'm a huge fan of Glamora on Hyper Offense. I do expect to see it pick up. Politoed Rain seems to be performing a lot better than Pelipper Rain. Again, it's pretty easy to say that when Pelipper is just a lot more used, right? Because of that, you're always going to be, closer to a 50-50. Hisuian Typhlosion is also a really sleeper mon right now as well. I expect to pick up. But again, you're seeing here the Pelipper is just getting a really good really good win rate still at 56%. So yeah, honestly, that is pretty solid. And we'll flip back over here as well, because I do want to check this out, see if there's any other trends that we can notice from it. We see Incin. I mean, I said it was dropping off, and this is the most recent event, actually falling all the way down to what looks like 6th. It's kind of crazy. Primarina sliding in at 3rd place is also kind of wild. I'm not surprised. I do think it is the best water type in the format right now, unless you're like specifically playing Rain. Of course, I don't think it's Pelipper's best partner. I think things like Basculegion and that are all a bit better. But of course, as a standalone water type, Primarina right now is very, very good. We're seeing Hisui and Arcanine rise up again. We're seeing more Volcarona at the top. D-Knight has a really good win rate here as well. Blood Moon is also pretty high up. Anything too crazy? I mean, Politoed, I mean, when one player plays it and he wins the event, of course, it's going to have a really good win rate. Two Pawmots also doing really good. Again, this is a mon, especially that Voltorb set, I think is definitely worth keeping an eye on if your team struggles into rain. Berserker had a pretty good showing. Dozogiri here, obviously, you know, it shows out. Talonflame also really solid here as well. Whimsy also, you know, showing up. So, Hyper Offense isn't dead, guys. Talonflame and Whimsicott are both definitely good. And of course, Golden Go, I mean, look, when you're the most used mon, like, I think a lot of people just, like, think, like, oh, yeah, you know, it's like, you know, it's, you know, one of the most used mons, like 58%. Like, that's still insane. To be the second most used mon in the format with a 57.69% win rate, pretty damn nutty. So this one here was the biggest event of the weekend, and we have a pretty interesting team in first place. So, of course, D-Knight is back here. This is a Lumberry set, which I do think is pretty solid right now, because Burn is going around, especially with things like Volcarona on the rise. Of course, we do have the Clef here, very, very good into Dozo. If you don't want to run, you know, something like Primarina, I do think having Clef as a unaware redirection one is very good, especially with Sitrus Berry, because a lot of the time with Sitrus, you can normally take 3 attacks from the Dondozo, and if it's sitting there spamming Wave Crash, it's doing massive damage to yourself. And of course, if you have something next to you that can deal super effective damage, it does put you in a pretty good spot. Again, we're seeing the Volcarona Rillaboom rising up, though. This combo is absolutely insane right now. I can definitely see why. And I'm a huge fan of Scarf Basculegion as well. I think this is a mon that is a bit underrated right now. Personally, I'm really liking it on Hyper Offense, because with Scarf Basculegion, you can lead it next to things like Talonflame, next to things like Whimsicott, even things like Murkrow. If you want to add like Rain Dance to it, you can go, hey, I've still got adaptability. I've got Choice Scarf, you know, I can go Cover Cloak. And then I can just go for things like Terra Water, Rain Dance, and then all of a sudden you're just doing absurd amounts of damage. It's crazy. And of course, D-Knight here as well. One thing I will mention with D-Knight as well, a lot of people kind of forget, when it comes to things like Psy Spam, of course, you know, mons like Rillaboom and Dark types are really good into it. I think a lot of people forget mons like D-Knight get Ice Spinner. Like, people forget this move exists, because right now it really doesn't feel like there's anything good clicking it. But even things like Assault Vest D-Knight are really good into Psy Spam, because one, AV D-Knight just like tanks things like Torkoal. You can also, you know, deal a lot of damage to Pokemon like Gallade as well, especially if you run a move like Aerial Ace, if you do go for something like Terra Normal. Even Terra Flying, you know, Terra Blast is solid into it as well. And then, of course, with Ice Spinner, you can just say, hey, I'm just removing your terrain, right? Your Indeedee has to pivot around. I'm going to keep breaking your terrain. But yeah, really, really cool team here that gets first place. We have another, you know, Dozo team here, pretty similar to what we've, like, you know, seen in the past, except on this team, they've gone for the Murkrow instead. Which, again, I get it. Murkrow pairs really well with Golden Go. Quash is also really good into Trick Room teams. So yeah, this is just another cool take on it. Very similar to the Talonflame team we looked at earlier. AU Boy here, again, pretty interesting take on Rain. Not on Rain, sorry, on Basculegion here, running it without Rain. Actually, he is running it with Rain. Crazy. So again, this is kind of what I was talking about, right? Rain Dance plus, you know, Basculegion. Of course, this one is Sash. But again, if you get it into the right position where you just say, hey, I get up a Rain Dance, I got the Tailwind, adaptability Basculegion does stupid amounts of damage. Of course, Murkrow and Golden Go is a really good combo. Mouse holding Golden Go is also really good. Don't sleep on this combo, because again, you have, you know, Follow Me, right, is really solid. You have Feint to break Protects. You also have Fake Tears if you're in a situation where you can say, hey, I'm going to make you -2. I'm going to make it rain. I'm going to deal a shit ton of damage. Gambit is also really good next to Mousehold as well. And of course, Incin is just Incin. So that's a really cool take there as well. I'm not even going to lie. I didn't know Mousehold actually got Fake Tears. So that is really cool. No Face, again, we're seeing more Japanese rain. This is just hard rain. I'm sure you guys can see just looking at this. This is literally just Pelipper plus 5 rain abuses. You have Swift Swim, Swift Swim, Swift Swim, Swift Swim. And then funny enough, Stalwart on the Archaladon here, which is actually kind of crazy. But yeah, this is a really cool team here as well. He has the Raw Archaladon tech, which is really good into Trick Room. For anyone who I guess didn't know, you just like click Roar and you just roar them out before they Trick Room, which is pretty sick. But yeah, this is just go fast, go hard, deal damage. I really like this. This team, it's crazy. Like Banded, Sash, Lorb, Clam, Clear Amulet there, Clam, however you want to say it. And then just, yeah, Cover Cloak, Archaladon. So yeah, really, really cool team here by No Face, man. That's sick. I really like this dude. Just says, hey, I just got 5 mons that like to play in rain, and I got a rain setter. Oh, we also have a little bit of Garchomp here, and Assault Vest Garchomp. That's really, really interesting. So again, we've got a lot of common partners here. You got the Mouse Ape, you got the Crow plus Goldie. You've also got the Garchomp plus Murkrow as well, which is interesting because you go for like obviously Earthquake next to it, and then just a random Incin there as well, just saying, hey, I am the support the team needs. We see a little bit of Sunroom here as well, actually seeing some play. Teams like this, guys, if you like Trick Room and you like, you know, Psy Spam, Sunroom, all that kind of stuff, this is your 6 right here. Play this 6. You got your 2 or 3, I guess, really strong physical attackers, 2 really good special attackers. You've got a Sun mode where you don't have to go for Trick Room. You can go for things like After You Eruption. Lilligant can just start putting everything to sleep, while Torkoal just, you know, be annoying. Of course, Torkoals again will start running Clear Smog, so you can, you know, just get rid of the stat buffs on the Dondozo. Pretty solid. And Ursaluna is a mon where if you get under Trick Room, you need to run. There are not many mons right now that can deal with a regular Ursaluna. I'm clicking Headlong Rush, or a Facade. So yeah, really cool team as well. And Gallade getting Sacred Sword as well. This move does like 60% to the common Dozo sets. Definitely worth keeping in mind as well. But yeah, that's the Sunrune team if you guys want to play that. We have another Rain team here as well. This time they've just got a secondary mode with Sneasler plus Rillaboom, which I do think is pretty solid. And yeah, I do think Sneasler is actually a really good one right now as well. That should see a little bit more play. But again, you got the Scarf Legion here, got the Archaludon, Rain Gerber. I'm pretty sure at this stage everyone kind of knows what it does, right? We also have a pretty interesting take on like balance here. This is like some Weezing balance stuff here. Really, really interesting. Obviously, you know, you got the Hydreigon here, which is pretty good into a lot of Trick Room stuff as well, especially with the Earth Power 2, which I'm a big fan of. Of course, Weezing enabling you to turn off abilities is pretty sick. Rillaboom plus Choice Specs Golden Go again, you'll kind of know what it does. And then this was a really interesting one to me here. Obviously, running double Intimidate here, which I do think is good. Blaze Breed as well is a mon I do think is really underutilized right now. But interesting to see a Choice Banded set without Flare Blitz. Running High Horsepower and Zen Headbutt I did think was really interesting. But of course, Raging Bull, fantastic into screens teams. And then finally here, Gyarados. This is a mon I also expect to see rise up quite a bit. I do think this set here on Gyarados is one of the better ways to run it. Normally not with the ability shield. Normally you'll see it with something else, whether that be, you know, Sitrus Berry, Clear Amulet, whatever it might be. But I do think Waterfall plus T-Wave is incredibly annoying to deal with. If you can para flinch someone, you know, you T-Wave them, and then you start giving, you know, going for the 30% flinches on Waterfall, it can be very, very annoying. I think it's like a 53% chance to like para flinch someone every turn, which is kind of wild. Which yeah, does make Gyarados a really, really good support right now. Was that the final team in the top 8? It was the final team in the top 8. Is there anything else cool worth looking at? I mean, we see a Pikachu, man. Dude, Pikachu here on this team. Fake Out Thunderbolt. I mean, that's a pretty cool team, actually. Pikachu is like a support on this team that also deals quite a bit of damage with Thunderbolt. Is really interesting. I do think Choice Spec Sylveon right now is a bit underexplored, especially on hyper offensive Tailwind teams. So that is cool to see. And then just a relatively standard Sand stuff here. My question is, what does this D-Knight do? Oh, dude, I see. You just quick attack the D-Knight and then you go for like a strong attack. That's really interesting as well. Okay, that's cool. I like that. Oh, upper hand. Talonflame's upper handing the E-speeds, dude. Okay, I see you. I see you. So you go Terra Normal E-speed and then you upper hand it, and then thanks to Inner Focus, you don't flinch, but you get the +2. That's really cool by this Talonflame, actually. I like that a lot. That's sick. I'm a huge fan of that. That's really cool. Is there anything else sick here? I mean, we see a bit more, what's it called? Hisuian Typhlosion, which is the one I've been testing. Wait, is this my team? Nah, it's a bit different to my team, but it's very similar to the one I showcased the other week. Yeah, he's got that AV Dragon. Like, I think I had Lorb on this, but it's actually my moveset as well. Terraflying as well. Dude, I think this is just an adaptation on my team. That's really cool. He's got lefties. I didn't have lefties. I had metal. I had Specs originally, and then I think I went to Metal Coat, but yeah, really, really cool take there. Of course, you know, yeah, Terra Dragon. I think this is my team. I had Terra Dragon Buzz for the, specifically to take on, what's it called? Wave Crashes a lot better, from Rain team. So yeah, really cool to see my team getting a bit of usage there. Anything else too crazy I want to talk about? I mean, more Electabuzz getting play as well, which is sick. Nothing too crazy here, I think, because no point really going too much further down. Yeah, we also see another Sinistcha as well. That's a one that I think is also a little underused right now, but we're definitely seeing it rise up quite a bit. So yeah, that's really cool. How's the metagame looking here? Rillaboom, Golden Go, you know, 1 and 2 clearly. Incin, you know, struggling a little bit further behind at 3. Amoonguss here rising up to 4th place is cool. Blood Moon seeing a lot more play than I expected. Prim dropped a lot in this event, but again, to be expected. As good as Primarina is, obviously it does have a lot of competition right now. Anything with a crazy win rate? Dude, D-Knight. I'm telling you guys, honestly, D-Knight's the source right now, dude. 7 people used it, had a 70% win rate. That's kind of nutty. I mean, Mercury here as well also had a really good win rate. Pawmod also had a really good win rate. Basculegion, I mean, we all kind of know Rain's good. Mousehold also had a really good one as well. So, yeah, definitely some ones to look out for there. But yeah, D-Knight, guys, get that in the build-up. This one's really good. Like, D-Knight right now, freaking slept on, I'm telling you right now. Anyway, the final event we'll take a look at here today. We have a Charizard Sun team with a YOLO Dozo. That's very interesting. Obviously, here we have the Choice Spec Solar Power. You know, you got the Sunny Day, Helping Hand, Tailwind as well. So really, really cool team there as well. I have personally been testing this out with Typhlosion, but I can definitely see a world where Charizard's obviously really good. A really interesting Male Indeedee plus Sneasler combo here. This just literally says, hey, we go hard, we go fast, which is really, really nice as well. Throat Chop also gives you a really solid option into to Golden Go as well for these teams, because Golden Go can be kind of annoying for like size spam, because you normally can't really hit it without like the Armor Rouge on the board. And again, Armor Rouge is not normally a Pokemon that, you know, is just going for a Heat Wave turn 1, right? You're not normally going like Heat Wave Trick Room. You're going like, you know, Followed Me Trick Room, and then you're going to start looking to go. So I do think having this Sneasler is definitely a really interesting take there. AV Hydreigon, I'm a huge fan of, so seeing it here is definitely really cool. This one here is the most confusing one for me. I would really like to know the reasoning why this is here. Like, is it just for the mirror match maybe? Like, you just send it out there and just start clicking Fissure into the mirror? Maybe that's it. I don't know, but definitely really, really interesting. We see a hyper offensive Sand team here as well. This team's really cool again. Like, I'm a huge fan of like these three here together. Obviously it just gives you like a lot of offense, right? Like, and again, they're all really good in the sand. Of course, Talonflame plus Golden Go is really good. I'm a huge fan of Talonflame plus Fast T-Tar as well. This is almost the set I ran at the Melbourne OCIC 2023. I was a huge fan of it, like near max speed Tyranitar with Assault Vest. I did have Terra Flying on that team. But yeah, really, really cool take. And of course, Primarina, really solid. And Gussie's just, yeah. Gussie's Gussie, man. It's one of the best supports. We do see, though, a Zoroark Goodra team here getting third. How low? Sapsipper, I definitely think, is the way to play this one right now, simply because, one, it's really good into Amoonguss. And two, no one is really running crit moves at the moment outside of things like what? High crit is like Decidueye, which again, you're like, I think you're okay into Decidueye. And then what? Like Meowscarada, which again, you've got Sapsipper for. So obviously that is really solid, especially with Terra Water. But yeah, what we have, you know, big Volcarona here. Again, Volcarona Rillaboom is really, really good. A really interesting Zoroark here as well with Curse. Obviously, Curse really good into Dondozo as well, right? Because you can Curse the Dozo, and then basically using your Rillaboom Instant, you can just kind of stall it out. Interesting that they have Pelipper on this team as well with nothing to really abuse it. This feels like just a kind of a YOLO standalone Pelipper. But look, nonetheless, the team performed really, really well. And of course, yeah, Pelipper is just, it's a good one, man. Pelipper, Instant, Rillaboom are really strong. I mean, I guess it also gives you like a really reliable Hurricane into things like Amoonguss as well. So that's pretty solid. Dude, a pretty cool team here as well. Seeing my guy Glimmora getting some play is sick. But yeah, look, I mean, it's kind of what we're talking about earlier, right? We have two beat-up mons here for the 8th. We have Pelipper setting up for Archaludon. And of course, we just have Glimmora, which is like, hey, Whimsicott, you know, make me go fast, and I'm going to absolutely nuke something with his Meteor Beam. So that's, yeah, really, really cool there as well. And of course, two beat-up mons with Archaludon as well. I forgot to mention there. He's like also sick. We'll look to that team. This team here is also like kind of nice. I don't mind like the idea of Pelipper plus Ursaluna in Trick Room, because on a set like this, you can just go Modest, and then like a Modest Pelipper under Trick Room is still relatively quick, especially against hyper offensive teams. You'll probably be able to outspeed quite a few of them. And of course, Gussie P2 is going to be one of the most annoying combos ever, because you get up Trick Room, and then you put something to sleep, you recover, or you like redirect, recover, and then you just like Pollen Puff attack, and it becomes super annoying. And of course, like Ursaluna under Trick Room is like super frustrating as well. Golden Go is like also good on these P2 Amoonguss teams, because like you can kind of just like break a hole early to like set up for the Trick Room. So yeah, that's another really cool team. This one here is like super duper interesting actually. What is this? Life Orb, like mixed attacking Salamence. Indeedee, Psy Spam here. It's like fast Psy Spam though. Of course, you got like Whimsicott here setting up the Sunny Day and the Tailwind. Sunny Day is also really interesting, setting that up for Armor Rouge there. I guess it also gives you a better matchup into Sun as well. Not to mention you are Temper Flare down here. And then, of course, Blood Moon, Ursaluna. I would assume on this team, this is like Timid Max Speed looking at the team. It's very offensive. And Aqua Breed Taurus as well. Very interesting to see like Assault Vest plus Lash Out. But Lash Out is obviously pretty good into, you know, some of these Intimidate teams as well, which I do really like there. Especially too if you get Intimidated and then you just like send out the Indeedee as well, which is, yeah, pretty sick. We see another Rain team. That one's pretty standard. We can look at this one here as well. I'm assuming this is Double Glide. Yeah. So the idea behind this team is like also really sick, right? So you've got your like your Rain core here, and then you've got like your Chestnut core here, right? Obviously Pelipper, again, really good with the water types, right? Sorry, with the grass types, because it, you know, reduces the fire damage. Instant also really good with the Chestnut as well, right? Because you've got like, you know, double Fake Out, basically saying like, hey, you know, I've got the Sitrus Berry here. I've got the Belly Drum. I've got the double Fake Out, Intimidate. I'm just going to get the Belly Drum up. And then you get into a situation where you have +6 grassy glides in grassy terrain, which is really, really cool. A team we covered in the past as well, when I think Boxy ran it in an event. I forget exactly who he got the team off of as well, but yeah, still a really, really cool team. Anything else crazy to look at? This one here is a pretty cool hyper offensive team as well, actually. I'm a big fan of Meowscarada right now. I do think it needs to see a little bit more play, and I do think as a Focus Sash Trick Room mon, it is really good at reversing Trick Room as well. But yeah, this is cool as well. We see Air Balloon next to Garchomp. You know, we see the standard Mouse Ape stuff. So yeah, another cool hyper offensive team there. Anything else super crazy? I mean, I think this is very similar to the team we just looked at. Slightly different, I'm guessing. Yeah, this time you got Will-O-Wisp on the Zoroark. Again, I think Zoroark right now is super slept on. Like, this is very similar to the set I was looking at with like the speed control plus stab. I do think I had Bitter Malice, but I can definitely see a world where Will-O-Wisp is also really good. Sorry, where Shadow Ball is still really good, even though you have the Will-O-Wisp there. But yeah, this is just like a cool team, right? You have like these 3 pieces here that are... I mean, this team feels like it's... I wonder if Talonflame's even needed on this team. Like, I wonder if this should just be like something that's like sets up the AP like a Mousehold. Because like Mousehold can also pair really well with the Sui and Goodra as well. But I mean, maybe there's a world where, oh yeah, of course, you got actually the double Icy Wind here as well to enable things like the Annihilate to go a bit faster too, which I guess is pretty cool there. But still, yeah, that's a fun team. Is there anything else super crazy that I want to look at here? Any players I see that I know? We see, are these the same team? Nah, slightly different, but 2 more Glamoras. They're getting some good results. Oh, okay, Frostmoth. This is another one. Frostmoth is on my list of mons I want to team build around. Because again, I said at the start of the video, I think Alolan Ninetales and Snow in particular is really good right now. And I think Frostmoth might be the best at abusing the Snow right now, because it is probably the best clicker of Blizzard. And between Ice Scale and then the Snow going up, this one is also actually quite bulky and really hard to deal with. I was looking at a team with these 2 plus Assault Vest and Incineroar as well, which I do think is pretty sick. But yeah, this is a really cool team as well, and I can take a bit of inspiration from this, because, again, you have this, like, slow setup mode with, like, these 3 mons here, but then you also have, like, the Mercury setting up for the Golden Go and Blood Moon Ursaludon to kind of sweep through, so, yeah, this is a really cool team. Oh, ZL's team. I think I may have already covered this team. I think unless this is a slightly different variant, but yeah, I remember the Blood Moon Ursaludon with the Sash now. But yeah, again, really cool team, dude. I love the Frostmoth. I mean, this is really sick. But yeah, that's, like, a really, really cool team, dude. And finally, let's have a look here. So, Instinct takes a spot back at the #1 usage, but it does have a worse win rate than Golden Go and Rillaboom once again. So yeah, definitely something to keep in mind there. Again, Primarina really floating near the top. A really good win rate for Primarina and Talonflame here. Actually, that's kind of insane. But let's have a look. Male Indeedee, the best mon here. Hisui and Goodra also had a really good showing. Charizard Sun, pretty solid as well. P2 actually kind of cracked there as well. Again, P2 regular Ursaludon, I think right now is a really, really good combo. Chomp surprisingly had a really good showing at this event as well. I mean, having like 3 Chomps in the top 20 is actually kind of crazy. All paired with Talonflame as well. All paired with Golden Go as well. So, if you want ideas, I mean, there's a lot of ideas there. Sneasler had a pretty good showing as well. Frostmoth was up there. Zoroark had a really good showing. Whimsicott as well. I mean, yeah, Talonflame also like really high usage, really high win rate. That's really cool, man. I'm actually so hyped. Like, dude, like I feel like the metagame's so fucking stacked right now. Like, I'm looking at some of these mons down here, and it's like, dude, I feel like they're all really good. Like, this metagame actually feels so damn open. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, anyway, guys, that's it for the tournaments I wanted to cover today. I guess let me know down below what you think of this. Like, again, for me, I'm super excited. Like, when I'm going through here, like, of course, like, I know what we're all seeing the same mons at the top of the, at top of the sheet, right? We're seeing Ruler, Instant, Gold is like, obviously the 3 big mons here. Rain is obviously really good. Like, we are seeing a lot of mons getting quite a bit of play, but again, even I'm on like Hydreigon here to have like only 8 uses when like Rillaboom's getting 44. To me is really sick. Like, Dragon's like a 10% usage here, and I still think it's one of the best Pokemon in the game. And I think when a Pokemon this good is only seeing 10% usage, the metagame's pretty, it's pretty balanced, and there's a lot of things that are actually pretty solid right now. But yeah, anyway, guys, that's going to be it for this one. As I said, let me know down below, I guess, what you guys think of this. And of course, finally, again, thank you for all the support the last week. It really does mean the world to me. And again, we're like this close to like 6K now, which is kind of crazy. It does make me think that maybe 10K is actually achievable this year. But I'll settle for 7, and then we'll go from there. But anyway, guys, once again, thanks again, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.